Okay, so welcome to the State of Greater Than Games. This is Paul. I'm Christopher.
I'm Chris. I'm Adam. How is everybody? How you doing today?
It's 10 a.m., so...
Yeah, I've been up for 4 hours. What are you talking about?
Your beard looks great.
Thank you.
He's the hummingbirds.
Yep.
All right. So this is somebody was asking me yesterday what this panel's about. I'm like, this is kind of the panel where essentially we like read you our tweets from the last year about just telling you what we've been doing and what we're about to do. Working on a bunch of projects and got a bunch of games in the pipeline, coming down the pipeline, coming around the corner, other such euphemisms. So you want to take us away?
So I'll start out and I'll go through like the production history of the last year.
Yeah.
And some other people can talk about what they're working on that we'll be releasing in the future.
Yeah.
How's that sound? Sound like a good plan?
I guess.
We always plan this panel.
It's really, this is a meticulously planned panel. We have our slideshow, but unfortunately they didn't put the screen in. That's the only reason.
That's on them.
That's the only reason there's not a slideshow.
So something that we've been working on the last year in general is being a bit better about communication about what's going on within Greater Than Games. And that's something that we've sometimes struggled with and not done as good of a job with going forward. So we've done this panel for a while at Gen Con, but then things sometimes get lost. We get really busy internally doing things and don't like tell people what we're working on internally, and so then people want to know, and that makes a lot of sense. And so we've been trying to do that over the past year a bit more. We've been having, for any Kickstarter campaign that is not fulfilled, we've been doing just monthly updates the first Tuesday of the month. That's kind of a cycle that we've been on. And then I've been posting, I post on the Greater Than Games forum, this State of GTG like monthly posts that talk about like, here's kind of stuff we've been working on in the last month and what we're looking forward to, right? Like, and what you'll be working on in the future coming up there. So that's, if you want more, a little bit more granularity than just like once a year at Gen Con, I randomly listen to them ramble for a while. We're actually kind of doing that a little bit and have that kind of going on. So to summarize that kind of stuff though, over the course of the last year, so last year at Gen Con, we released Fate of the Elder Gods, Spirit Island, and Laser Riders at Gen Con. And then we released the starter kit for the Sentinel Comics role-playing game at PAX Unplugged last year. And in the meantime, the whole rest of the time, we were finishing up all the Oblivion stuff, which was ridiculous. And then that finally got to the printer and went out and is going on. So Oblivion now, if you don't know, is being fulfilled. So anyone that lives not in North America or Australia had theirs shipped.
And Australia has some.
They have most of it, right? So they had theirs shipped from Spiral Galaxy Games, which is a distributor in England, and they also do Kickstarter fulfillment. And that was a really good experience, actually. We'd never had anyone else do Kickstarter fulfillment for us before, but they did a really good job. So that's kind of cool. And then we, last week, shipped out about 4,000 Kickstarter backer rewards for Oblivion.
In 3 days.
In 3 days, yeah. It was,
which is alarmingly fast.
Yeah. And so that those shipped out to the bulk of Australia and the first several thousand backers in the United States. And right when we get back, we're getting several thousand more, which will go to Canada and a bunch more in the United States and stuff like that. So that's kind of the status of that. And that should all be fulfilled by mid-September, based on what we're looking at right now. And then we're also we're continuing to work on the Sentinel Comics role-playing game, kind of in the background, coming along like that. And
I like to say in the background, that is like, that is
the main thing
my life right now.
Right, in the background,
it's not the main thing that Greater Than Games is working on necessarily, but it is the main thing that I am
entirely
working on.
Consuming writing. So that's kind of going on, and we're aiming to have a Kickstarter campaign for the Sentinel Comics role-playing game in January. I know last year when we were talking about it, we thought that would be sooner, but a lot of things happened. Mostly Oblivion got really delayed. It took a lot longer than we thought, and so we felt it was important to wait to launch a Kickstarter campaign for a new Sentinel Comics property until well after Oblivion was fulfilled and all of the replacement parts and other weird stuff that will inevitably happen from that fulfillment are also taken care of. So that is kind of the arc of that kind of stuff. We're also working on Legends of Sleepy Hollow, which is really close to sending to the printer. That's the other outstanding Kickstarter we have.
Yes.
Really only those two, only two outstanding.
They're pretty outstanding.
And they're both very like Oblivion is fulfilling right now, and Sleepy Hollow should be.
It's as soon as I get home, the entire month of August is nothing but 24 hours.
Yeah, right.
7 days a week.
That seems very healthy.
It's not going to be, no. But I've got to do it. I mean, I got to get it done. So.
Yeah, and then they go to printer probably like in September, kind of.
Yes.
Yeah. So Yeah, and then that will be kind of in the works and going. So then,
Q1 next year.
yeah, so that'll probably be the beginning of 2019
Right.
for Legends of Sleepy Hollow Kickstarter fulfillment, is what that looks like. And then in the meantime, we're working on a few other projects coming up in addition to the Sentinel Comics RPG. We're working on an expansion to Spirit Island, and we'll have that on Kickstarter in the fall, over Essen for that one. Because at the same time, we're having a German language version of Spirit Island released at Essen. So that's kind of neat. And we also have in the works French language and Russian and Korean and Portuguese for Spirit Island. There's a lot of different localization interest.
Oddly, not Spanish yet.
Yeah. That's sort of like preliminary
Right.
chats about Spanish and Polish and Hungarian. Yeah, we'll see what happens there. So that's kind of cool. And then Jeremy Handel from Handelabra is going to make a digital version of Spirit Island.
And that's going to release.
We officially acquired the rights about 3 weeks ago, and we're likely to be breaking ground end of this year with an eye towards releasing sometime in 2019.
Yeah.
So that'll be out in January 2019, right?
That's exactly what I said. That was
January 1st. January 1st.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm really curious how breaking ground is going to help.
1201.
Right.
It's going to be far
Well,
meaningful.
no, because you have to, because you have to first. The game starts with blight in place.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah.
That makes sense. I gotcha.
I knew what I was saying.
Yeah. Christopher is on the same. Same way. It's good. Anyway, and then we're working on an expansion to Fate of the Elder Gods as well, which is coming along, and so we will have that. I used to have that at Gen Con next year.
Yeah, that's the plan. Or
Well, Kickstarter before that. But
we'll Kickstarter before that. It's going to be completely done by the end of November, really. And
Yeah.
we've got most of
Coming
the art
along.
It's going to
assets
be completely
done.
done in terms of making the files.
Making the files
Right.
ready, not the game itself, but yeah.
And it'll do a Kickstarter for that and things like that. So those are 2 expansion Kickstarters we have coming up. And then for new games,
Yes.
we've got Homebrewers, which will be on Kickstarter in September over actual Oktoberfest.
Who here has gotten to see Homebrewers in the room yet? Nobody. Great.
Right.
Awesome. So in the demo room, in room 140, 141 at the hall, we have a table set up. You can go play Legends of Sleepy Hollow. You can play Oblivion. You can play Spirit Island. You can play the Sentinel Comics role-playing game. And we've got a Homebrewers demo that's going at all times. And you can also play Primor. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, this is coming up. That's
I know, yeah. But Homebrewers it's from the same designer that did Brewcrafters. Anybody played Brewcrafters or the Brewcrafters travel card game? And super good games. And Ben's a really great guy, great designer. And Homebrewers is a super fun game. I think it's the most accessible of
very,
any
very
of the things that I've seen. And it's really fast and fun to play. I like it a lot. We've done a lot of cool things with it. We've got a great team working on it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep. So definitely check that out, and that will be on Kickstarter at the end of September. So this 2 Kickstarters this year is the plan.
2 more.
Homebrewers and you haven't run in?
I know. 2 more this year.
Yeah. All right, and then Spirit Island expansion, which we pretty much know the name for. Did we decide the name?
No, because there was the
Going back and forth.
Yeah, we're right.
Right.
We're
All right.
like most of it. Actually.
Okay. And then finally, the other game that we have like in active development that you know about is Prime War. So we made a big announcement about that about a month ago. So we took Sentinel Tactics, and a lot of people liked it a lot. We liked it a lot, but it didn't quite do everything that we wanted it to do, and the reception wasn't quite what we wanted it to be. And there was some problems that we identified clearly. Oh yeah, we should have done that. We should, and now it was a really long time ago we made that game.
Right.
Internally, right.
It was.
And so we've been having a lot of angst about what to do about it for a very long time, and it was
Well, there's certain things we definitely
Yeah.
wanted it to do.
Right.
And we knew that from the beginning. But like, okay, these are things that going into Sentinel Tactics, we wanted to be able to do these things, and we didn't meet those goals.
Right.
Like it didn't end up being. It ended up being a lot of the game we wanted, but not all of the game we wanted. After we did a series of tournaments for Sentinel Tactics that went very well. And after those tournaments, a particular team of people who were very good at the games in those tournaments kind of came to us with a proposal about how things could change in the game. And we're like, yeah, sure, but what about something entirely new and different? And we've been going back and forth for a couple of years now. With some weirdos. I only say it that way because one of them's in the room, and Lord Forge Games is Lord Forge Games. Lord Forging Games. Lord Forge Gamed. Is Lord Forge Games is the name of this group of 4 designers, developers, and game people. That's a technical term. And they've been working on this Prime War for a while, and we were extremely demanding. We were like, well, we're not even going to vaguely do this thing unless it's like really, really amazing. So impress us, good luck. And then they brought it to us a couple times in the last year. We've seen it in a couple stages, and most recently in our offices in June, and it was it has been, it continues to be very impressive. It's very good.
It is, I think it's safe to say we were amazed by it.
Yeah. It does the things we wanted to do. It matches those goals that we had initially that we didn't get to with Primor, or with Sentinel Tactics. Primor is doing those things and more, so we're very excited to work with them on that, as well as Adam and I have created a bunch of story stuff for it.
Super exciting lore stuff.
Yeah, don't worry about that. But nobody cares about that stuff anyway. We're here to talk about games. But yeah, right. We're gonna delete all the story. It's fine. But anyway, so yeah. Sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah, no,
I was just excited to talk about Primor.
That's what that is. And then,
well, so hold on.
Yeah.
Let's talk about schedule and stuff on that, because we say that's.
That's true. Yeah.
But that is so that game is moving quite quickly, and yet it's not going to come out this year. This year, from our perspective, this year is like mostly over in terms of what we can produce as a new product between now and the end of the year. So we're not going to be doing a Kickstarter for Primor. It is going to be a product that comes out on its own. There's an announcement, like Paul said, that we put on the website that talks about if you were one of the people that pre-ordered Sentinel Tactics, the Battle for Broken City, and that stuff, you're going to get Primor stuff. I'm not going to try to go through and detail all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I can later if people want to ask.
If you want to, right.
But basically, if you pre-ordered the Battle for Broken City kind of Sentinel Tactics expansion stuff, you can either just get a full refund anytime, we'll give that to you, or you can stick around and get Primor. And there's various equivalences, and I laid out in the post on our website all the details about like what you'll get from Primor if you did this, then this, if this, then this, and we will have a pre-order time period for Primor as well for people that like didn't get in on that pre-order that want to get it, or for people that were on that but want to adjust it, like, oh well, I backed Broken City for this thing, but it gets me a thing that I don't want, and I instead want to alter it. Like, once we get closer to that, we'll make that happen. That will be a thing, but we're not going to do a Kickstarter.
But one of the things that we also definitely learned with Sentinel Tactics is to not rush to completion on it. So this is a game that we're working on. We're working on a lot of, and there's a lot of stuff we want to do with it. And I'd love to put it out next year, and it's possible, but it's also possible that it will be early the year after that. So at this point, it's hard to.
Yeah. Right now, finish with the RPG core book.
Yeah.
Our focus will shift towards Primor a bit. We will be continuing.
We have a lot of
to
RPG
support
stuff.
the RPG stuff.
Yeah.
But we will be devoting a lot more focus to Primor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now, our playtesting forum has been pretty focused in the last few months on Sentinels of Earth Prime and Spirit Island expansion. And starting in a month or so, the Sentinels of Earth Prime stuff will be done from our perspective.
No, it's already done.
Oh, okay. It's already done.
Yeah.
From our perspective. So starting the next month or so, we're going to switch our major playtesting focus for replace Sentinel of Earth Prime with Primor, basically, as that big playtesting focus. And we'll also be getting more playtesters, allowing more people to be on the playtesting forum.
Yes.
If not a playtester, not a chance.
Yeah.
As soon as your chance. Not now.
Soon as yes.
Right now. Okay, it passed. Nobody raised their hand, so
too late.
Yeah. So that's
yeah. And then the only other thing that I was going to mention about ongoing projects for the last year and stuff like that is we've got a lot of different like media and podcast stuff that we're doing.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And so for a long time, Chris has been doing the Dice Hate Me podcast.
The State of Games.
The State of Games podcast, right? The State of Games podcast, where he talks about games. And then for now quite a while, Christopher and Adam have been doing the Letters Page podcast. We talk about Sentinel Comics lore, which is really excessive. And we also just recently hired Trevor full time. So Trevor is now greater than.
There he is. He's waving. Look at Trevor.
Look at Trevor.
Yeah, that's Trevor. He's
really
the person
exciting.
that makes us seem more professional.
Right. And so what we've been doing as a result, there's a few other things. One is we've been doing live streams on Twitch of the Sentinel Comics role-playing game.
And a bunch of other games.
Yeah, and a bunch of other games.
We've been doing live streams of almost all of our games.
Right.
But then.
So we've been doing just live streams of how to play and other things, and playthroughs of many of our games.
Yeah.
We've been doing a series, 6-episode series of Sentinel Comics role-playing game that Christopher's running that culminates tomorrow.
Yes, as we've done 5 of the 6.
Right.
Number 6 is tomorrow night in not this room,
but one of these rooms.
Room 11.
Room 11.
Yeah.
Is that where we were yesterday?
It is.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, so I definitely recommend coming to check that out tomorrow if you're interested in it. It's kind of fun. And we're going to do future seasons as well of that game, where we live stream the RPG and things like that. The next one I'm going to run.
Yeah, so we're going to do at least one more this year,
Yeah.
and then we are going to do at least 2 more next year, and those are some bare minimums.
Yeah.
So.
And then we're also working on getting the audio from those, as well as a lot of these seminars and things we do, up on another podcast. So we actually have, and it exists now already, the Greater Than Games podcast, what we call it, which is what we will take. So for some people where it's easier to listen to something in a podcast, audio-only format, that kind of thing, get it on your podcast streamer, that kind of stuff like that. We're going to put just the audio from a lot of the live streams and a lot of these seminars and things like that on that podcast,
Yeah.
so that you can subscribe to that and just listen to them if that's an easier format for you. We've gotten a number of requests, so all right. That's the arc of the last year stuff. I think that covers the bulk.
We didn't talk a lot about specifically what's going on in the Sentinel Comics role-playing game, but that's my area anyway.
Right, I can figure you can talk about that. Everyone can talk about the details of their stuff. So.
Moving on down the line?
Yeah.
All right, so in the last year since it's not that funny. In the last year since we last did this panel, Adam and I have done a ton of letters page stuff. We've done a bunch of live stream stuff, but I've been helping out with Spirit Island, and I've been doing a bit with Homebrewers here and there, and other stuff. The big stuff I've been doing is the Sentinel Comics role-playing game, finishing Oblivion, and after that was over, and then doing the Sentinels of Earth Prime game. Sentinels of Earth Prime is a cooperative superhero card game that we're doing with Green Ronin, using their characters and their settings, and that is at this point done. There's a little bit of tiny
done
polish.
from our perspective.
Yes.
Not from Green Ronin's
Well,
perspective.
I'm getting there.
Yeah.
I'm getting there. As far as Greater Than Games is concerned, it's pretty much done. The main thing that I'm doing at this point is they're working on art for it, and occasionally they'll email me and be like, hey, this card, it has this name and this mechanic. What were you picturing this hero was doing? And I'm like, oh, they were doing a cool jump with the flip of the thing. I'm like, okay, cool, thanks. So that's the extent of the work on that now. But that will be, I want to say it's coming out next year, but that's not a thing that Greater Than Games is printing or publishing. So that's just a thing that is happening. So that is on their schedule and on their art schedule. The other thing that I'm working on that is taking the lion's share of my time is the Sentinel Comics role-playing game, and oh my goodness, it's going so well. I'm very proud of it. There's a lot that's going on with it. It's looking great, it's playing great. Hopefully you've had a chance to play it. There's demos going on all the time in the booth. We put out the starter kit, like Paul mentioned, last fall at PAX Unplugged, and that has done very well since it came out. And at this show, we released a new one-shot adventure called Stolen Legacy that introduces not just that own one-shot adventure, but also a team of new heroes, 5 heroes called Daybreak, that we've talked about a few times before, but this is their first public appearance. And people seem to be really enjoying that, which is good because we really enjoy it. And we've got a bunch more stuff we're going to be doing with it. We're going to be doing another one-shot adventure, kind of like Stolen Legacy, but completely different, for around PAX Unplugged time this fall. And then, as Paul mentioned, in January of next year, we'll be doing a Kickstarter for the game itself, the game that we've been now selling and playing for over a year. By the time that our Kickstarter comes out, we'll be actually doing the core rulebook, and the core rulebook will have everything. It'll have character creation, it'll have how to make minions and villains and environments and scenes and issues and challenges and connect all those things together. And it'll also have a ton of the canonical character information in it, and even a couple of adventures you can play through in a couple of different ways. So this is going to be a huge book. It's a huge undertaking. Adam's been working a ton on art and also has been working with a massive stable of artists, Adam and Jen.
About 25 artists or so.
But besides Adam is working full-time on art, and also we have all these other people also working on art.
Yeah,
if you've watched...
It's been a little bit of a strange experience because this is the first Sentinels product that is not entirely my art, but I'm heavily involved in it and making sure that it still represents the world accurately.
The feel of Sentinels, yeah. And Jen, our creative director, who is not here, is doing a lot of the managing the art and the graphic design. We have a team of graphic designers now. One thing that Paul didn't mention about the State of Greater Than Games is that we are way bigger than we ever have before. It's terrifying.
Yeah, we doubled.
We have 15 people on salary full time in the office, right? Yeah. So that's horrifying. I mean, awesome. I mean, it is awesome. It genuinely is. But it's also wow, we have a graphic design team now. Jen, our creative director, has 2 graphic designers that work with her, and all 3 of them, and also Trevor is part of that same sort of team of making stuff and making stuff look good, and it's a little intimidating sometimes. Anyway, it's a lot of fun. It's very cool. But our pipeline has expanded a lot, so that when we're doing all these projects, like we're doing a similar number of projects now as what we talked about last year and even the year before. We have way more people working on them with a higher level of expertise than ever before. So the company's leveled up in a lot of ways.
Yeah, so we're working on kind of getting through a back catalog of projects that we said we were going to do, or we were working on, and moving them forward and having a more stable, and planning a little bit more, and having the ability to like plan and have a broader pipeline in general for throughput of stuff and things like that. So that's kind of been a project we've been working on for quite a while.
It's going very well. So yeah, Sentinel Comics role-playing game is my day and night, and it is it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. I'm excited for people to get to experience it more. Anything else that I need to talk about? I think that's me.
Me. Okay, so my life, whereas his life has been the Sentinel Comics role-playing game, pretty much mine has been Sleepy Hollow, which we're never doing. We're not doing another project like Sleepy Hollow for a while because it is gargantuan, and as you know,
I mean, like Prime War is not dissimilar in terms of scope.
Well. Okay, Prime War. But anyway, Sleepy Hollow is coming along. It's great. I'm so proud of what we've done to this. Matt and Ben worked tirelessly to make this. It is literally, they say it and it's true, it's like designing 8 different games, because the entire 8-chapter arc inside the box is 8 different games. The same core system but different experiences. Great storytelling aspect. We also have the little mini expansion, which is an epilogue to the story, which has a really cool twist. I can't wait for people to play this because it's going to be amazing. Anyway, really excited about Legends of Sleepy Hollow. I'm also super excited to be done with it, so I can move on to other things. On the side, as Paul mentioned, I've been working with Daryl Lauder and Richard Launius on the expansion for Fate of the Elder Gods, which we said the original conceit of Fate of the Elder Gods was you were going to take on the role of the cultists, and you were trying to summon your Elder God and doom humanity in the process. Well, now you can play as the investigators. So we'll add a 5th player that actually adds even more asymmetrical play. They have their own win conditions. They have agents in charge that will allow you to have variable player powers like the Elder Gods themselves. You stake out locations. You're going to have, it's going to be great. So you'll be able to play, as a 2-player experience, which Mike Mullins is currently working on, but a 2-player experience all the way up to 5 players now, and add even more variability to the game itself, which we're really excited about. In the back catalog, things that we're kind of pushing through with development to try to get things ready, we have Josh Mills' Milkman, which will kickstart in February, and Daryl and I are working on that. I guess we should talk a little bit about the transition of Dice Hate Me. So, yeah,
That's good.
So,
it is a good time for this.
Dice Hate Me Games is now Dice Hate Me Studio. And so we're going to the studio model, which essentially means that every product will be branded Greater Than Games across the boxes, but anything that's in the Dice Hate Me brand, the Dice Hate Me Studio model that was developed in the same process as Dice Hate Me Games previously, will now have the Dice Hate Me Studio logo on the back of the box. It'll still have the same feel. It'll still exist in the same universe, and the aesthetics will still be there. But the studio model simply means that we're kind of this, not necessarily a bubble, because we're all helping on everything else, but Daryl and I are primarily doing what we did in the past with the studio model and just transitioning that into what we do.
Right.
So in that vein, Milkman is going to be produced traditionally like the way we did. Daryl and I are doing art direction, graphic design, and working very closely with Josh to complete that game and have that ready for Kickstarter in February. In addition to that, we still have Isle of Trains All Aboard, which is the expansion we talked about 2 years ago. We've got a little bit more development work to do on that, but the art is completely done. The graphic design is almost done for that, so we're not going to kickstart that.
Right.
That is, we're trying to do some of these projects outside of Kickstarter simply so that we can have a more clear production queue. Kickstarter is the one thing that kind of slows us down, because we have to you have to send out preview copies for that, and then you have to go through Kickstarter, and then you have to do production after that, and it just adds on, it tacks on months and months. And so this, we can have a product, plan the window that we want, get our review copies out, and then release that right into the wild. Isle of Trains All Aboard seems like a good one to do that, because it's got a great existing audience, and a lot of people are really loving it. So In addition to that, we have 2 other games. One is Match Quilt, which we've mentioned before, and that one will not be Kickstarted as well. We're going to produce that. That's one of our Monkey Box line. And that we had a production meeting about it yesterday. We're going to try to get it done before the end of the year to release. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. It's ambitious. Cool. It's ambitious, but the game itself is a great little puzzler, building out quilts and using quilt patterns. It has 2 variable modes of play. One's very basic, which is kind of a family mode, and then there's like the really gamery mode. You flip it over and it bakes your noodle. And then the curators, which is Match Quilt.
Yeah, so I want to talk about where curators came from.
Yeah,
it's such a cool
for
thing.
Yeah.
So curators was a game. So I did the deck building game thing a long time ago for joke purposes. I feel like a long time ago. It feels very recent, and also a long time ago. Yeah. But then we did the contest for more games of that type, more named the game mechanic game. And so that's where we got the trader mechanic game, trick taking game, time management, the time management game. Yes, I knew there was a third one. Those are all great, a lot of fun. But one of the games that was submitted was this game called tile laying game, and it was about laying these tiles. And I was playing it, and I was moving around, and we were just like, "This is really good. Like, this is really cool," and the joke's not very good. Like, deck building game, great. I mean, that joke, it makes sense immediately. And trader mechanics, like all of those, the joke makes sense. And the tiling game, you have to like tell some extra fiction to make it work. And I was like, here's the deal. We were talking to the designers, we're like, just throw the joke away. Let's do this game. Let's make this game like bigger than it could be, because it's super good. The table presence for this game is like unparalleled. You look at this thing and people are like, oh, it's so weird because it's this 3-dimensional perspective on a flat board of tiles. It's amazingly fun to play. It's a really cool puzzle.
The tiles are all like this shape, so it gives an optical illusion of 3-dimensionality when the tiles are all flat on the board.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It is exciting, and I'll mention Match Quilt was designed by Lauren Woolsey. The Curators, which is the name we finally settled on, designed by Daniel Solis and Drew Hicks. And that's gone through iterations of names too. We had Diorama Rama,
Museum Explosion,
all kinds of weird things. Finally, we settled on the Curators because there are a set of curators that are actually, and their whole entire goal is to curate this museum display. And so it becomes this 3D room with museum displays, display cases, and the different types of artifacts you're putting in the museum give you special abilities. Allows you to trigger combos and trigger scoring combos. And it is a puzzler, and it does make your noodle like a little bit like Match Quilt. They're in the same vein, but the table presence is amazing.
Yeah, no, like it is a game that once you've played a game of it, you're like, okay, I get it. But when you're playing your first game, you're like, And it's one we feel like as we evaluate these projects now, we're trying to figure out whether we want to release into the wild or go Kickstarter. We originally were just going to produce this one, but we feel like this one has the pedigree to do really well on Kickstarter. We'll see.
I think so.
Yeah,
it's fine. It seems likely.
I could go either way.
Right, like we're not decided on it yet. Right, but we're definitely making this.
Yeah,
game.
we had a big
Yeah, so now we're trying to find the right artist to do the tiles. We already have the artists who have created the curators. There's 5 different curators in the game that give you variable player powers and various ways to score. And what am I missing? Is that it?
I think so.
I think so for right now.
For stuff that is
we have a couple of other irons in the fire we can't mention. Sure. Because they're not signed, but
There's a whole.
But exciting stuff that we can't mention to you.
Right.
Wish we could. I really wish we could.
There's a lot of exciting stuff we can't talk about.
We have like a medium high amount of stuff that we can't talk about.
Yeah.
That's a bunch.
There's a tease for you.
Yeah. The thing that to rewind a little bit, Paul mentioned that we're doing a Spirit Island expansion at Kickstarter. Cool, great. Let's move on. Wait, no, hold on. Let's talk about that. So it is an expansion that brings the game up to 6 players playable, and it adds a ton of spirits to the game.
Yeah, it's going to have 8 to 10 new spirits, 2 to 3 more adversaries. I think 3 more adversaries. The E and F boards for 5 and 6 player play, and then additional event cards, and it will have 1 or 2 more token types also.
Yes, 2 more, I believe.
We might move it because it depends.
Yeah. Right. But
everything's going to happen.
But yeah, and then yeah, that's true. And that over the course of doing that's what it was. Is it's not? Yes, it'll have token types, but also like the if you've played Spirit Island, the expansion for Spirit Island has the 4 token types it adds to it, and then it has 2 spirits that are specifically for 2 of those token types. But then the other 2 token types don't have like a specific spirit that works with those. Those spirits are coming.
If you want to see them, those actually spirits,
That's a surprise.
Isn't that a really surprise?
I know.
Anyway, go to the Spirit Island tournament. That's
This morning.
today.
Yeah. Anyway,
Right? Yeah, in like an hour.
I don't know.
I don't know what's happening.
Let me pull my schedule.
There is one more thing that
Oh,
we
yeah.
can mention. We're doing a Blazer Riders expansion this
That's
Yes,
right.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's cool because it adds a little bit more gamerness to it.
Yeah.
There's obstacles, there's warp storms, all kinds of weird things that could mess up the game state on the board itself. And Nicole and Anthony are working on that
Yeah.
right now. And they were actually Nicole
Right.
was there working on
Yeah.
it this morning.
Yeah.
So
This-
and we don't know when that
Yeah,
will
we'll
release,
have-
but yeah.
Those are fun.
The Spirit Island tournament is happening today from 1 to 5.
Yeah. But if you go there at like 4 for the finals.
Then you get to see the new spirits. Yeah. Spoilers.
Yeah. Any other things that we should talk about before we open
Well,
up
so
the questions?
yeah,
You know.
I'm primarily working on RPG,
Letters page.
letters page.
Sentinel Comics Live.
Yes, those things. One of the RPG sessions next year, I'm going to be running one of the live RPGs.
And you've been running RPGs at the show.
Not
Or-
at this show.
No. You did
No.
one
I
before the show.
Yeah, I did one before, like on my own.
Yeah.
I've run them in previous shows though, and then we're getting ready to talk to Jeremy about Oblivion integration. So I'm gonna have to shift pretty hardcore to that soon, and making that look good.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
The designs for Prime War characters are mostly done.
The designs are done.
The
Yeah. There's
designs
still a lot
are
of art needs
Yeah.
for the Prime War. We also need to figure out how we want to do Prime War art now that we have this stable of artists. Are we doing Adam art? Are we doing not Adam art?
Yeah,
It's probably a mix of both.
Yeah.
Is the answer.
that might be both. We'll
We'll
see.
see.
What happens, but-
We'll see.
Yeah.
But there's still, Prime War is cool because Prime War doesn't take place in the standard universe with everything else. So we get to really go further afield with some weird stories. And the story stuff for Prime War is really cool, but we'll never talk about it, so don't worry about it. All right.
Yeah, that's
Anything else here?
So I guess it's time to go to the most important part of the show,
Yeah.
where people ask questions.
question.
And normally when we do questions, when Adam and I deal with questions, there's like a song that plays before we go to questions.
Yeah.
But we can't do that here. 'Cause-
Questions.
I thought the most important part of the show is to make this dumb jokes, like puns.
No, that's the whole show.
Yeah.
So do you have any questions?
Questions? Do it.
Is it like? Not that
No,
one.
no, it's the Christopher Nolan
I don't know that song.
You do. It's the one. You see, you know that song.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What questions do anybody in this audience have? No questions? Okay.
I want to know if, has your style, Adam, become the house style for the stable of artists?
It's sort of yes.
yeah.
Like, so, something that I really want out of Sentinels is for it to look like an entire line of comics.
Which means
Different pencil.
Yeah. So I really want artists to bring their own style to it, and so I give them reference images and models and say, like, this is what the characters need to look like. I go back and forth with them on that a little bit, and say, like, no, this isn't on brand for this person. Yeah, this works for this. But I want them to bring their own aesthetic, and I'm mostly concerned with it meshing well into the world. So
yeah, there's going to be a lot of different looks of art that still
pretty wide,
feel
yeah.
like Sentinel Comics, but
Yeah.
also don't look like Adam drew it.
Yep.
It's pretty cool.
It's neat. Have you seen any of the live stream for the Sentinel Comics Live
Yeah.
RPG? All the art that is in that, aside from the 4 player characters, was not done by Adam.
right.
It's done by a different artist.
That's done by a guy named Kevin Shaw, who is at Color Reaper on Twitter, and he's freaking incredible.
Yeah. We're definitely going to have
I'm
him
blown
do
away
art
with
for more other things.
Yeah.
in Sentinel Comics.
And we've got cool, there's new Slaughterhouse 6 art. Look how cool that looks. That's amazing. Yeah. I'm awful. I'm just the worst. But
I can tell you, that looks freaking cool.
Yeah, look at that. It probably looks
yeah,
so big.
absolutely.
That's Desert Eagle.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's like
I'm
that.
still doing all the covers. I'm still doing all the chapter headers. I'm still doing all of the main character
designs
Now
too.
you're Alex Ross.
Yeah.
Paper covers.
No, I'm Jim Lee. I wish. No, but so the face of it is still me, but the guts of it are going to be
Lots of
varied. Yeah.
And that's good, actually. Honestly, it's already bringing a lot of richness to the game of like, oh, this is even more expansive than before.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead. You've got a list.
I do have a
Just fire it off.
Other people ask the questions.
No. Let's do your whole list. We like to condense everybody's questions into one pile and make fun of them for asking a lot of questions at once.
The curator sounds really good. When am I going to get to play the curators?
The curators? When do you get to play the curators?
We'll probably have a version of it at PAX Unplugged.
PAX Unplugged. We will definitely have a version of PAX Unplugged to play.
Very good. Yeah.
So stop by and we'll have it on the table.
Right.
And
It won't be a final version of it.
I suspect
but
that we'll
it'll be
have a fancy version to play at Gen Con next year.
Yeah.
That is definitely
one way or another.
Yeah,
one way or
right.
another, there will be a very fancy, very
That-
playable
that's
version.
my-
Filigree.
expectation.
So Chris wants to cut it out of wooden tiles. Don't worry about it. Not you, Chris. Other Chris.
Oh,
He
yeah.
wanted to make those wooden.
That's right. The wooden
he wanted to make
tiles.
the wooden
Yeah,
tiles.
yeah.
Anyway, we're gonna do a life size.
If he can figure out how to
perfect.
Pearl handles.
Yeah.
Other than that, last one, you guys might be the most Kickstarterist of all board game companies.
I don't know. Like, there's a bunch of companies that
there's a-
both run way more.
Have you?
You're up there, right?
But wait, have you heard of Colossal Games, who has released 6 this year?
That's too many.
That's too many. Yes.
Or
But,
Cool
yeah.
Many or Not.
Or Cool Many or Not.
Who has released is like what I want to say 3 a year or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway,
It's been a lot. But-
But you kind of touched on it because you were like, oh, this one's definitely a banger for Kickstarter. What determines whether you kickstart a game or release it on normal schedule?
So if a game is likely to produce some kind of community for that game, I think that we found that is interesting is that though we do have a really active community of people that are into our games, that community does not tend to go across multiple titles. It tends to be like, this is a community of people that are interested in this game, or a community of people that are interested in that game. And yes, there is crossover, but the majority tends to polarize to the game, not to, greater than games in general, which is fine. But it means that if a game is going to come out and people are going to like it and they're going to enjoy it and they're going to play it, great, that's a game that we should definitely make. If it's a game that is likely to produce a community due to the story, the theming, the thematics, the depth, the strategy of the game, something that's going to do something like that probably wants a Kickstarter to start that community building in the late development and early production stages, if that makes sense.
Betting that a community will form around a game.
Yeah, kind of, because like at this point we have a pretty good feel of what kind of games do and do not build communities. We've done a few, so being able to say, look, this game here, and it's not the only reason we do it, but it is a factor where we look and we go, this game here, people are gonna get into it in a way that's not just like, I play this game, I like this game, but like, no, this is there's something here, and that's.
Yeah. There are also factors as far as like what does well on Kickstarter, traditionally, both through our own trial and error, but others as well. Like, let's just take a case sample. Sure. Monster Truck Mayhem. So, unfortunately, Monster Truck Mayhem failed twice on Kickstarter. And the reason is because real-time dice rolling does not translate well to Kickstarter. We've just seen that before. But if we've ever had Monster Truck Mayhem in front of people at a convention, they want it right then. Because the action and the excitement is palpable in the room. They see people playing, and they love it. Unfortunately, we've not produced that, and we cannot at this time produce it. We still have all the art assets. Never say never. Matt and Ben have not taken it anywhere else. But anyway, that's an example of if we see a game that we possibly could do well in retail, but may not translate well to Kickstarter, and we want to make it because it's a great game. We're gonna do that because we can target it to a certain community outside of Kickstarter and do well in a different way. And it also logistically for timing, because we can't put everything on Kickstarter.
We don't want to run 6 Kickstarters.
No, absolutely
that's
not.
bad. Like
Yes.
a Kickstarter is a month of someone's full-time job is running that Kickstarter, and then after that we've got to do monthly updates. We've got to do. There's a lot more. If we make a game, we should put all the work and effort into making all the files, doing all the playtesting, the design, the development, blah blah blah. We make the game, then we send it to the printer, we print the game, and we get it back, and we send it to backers, or we send it to people who have ordered it, and we send it to stores, and we send it to all those people. Great, that is the life of any game. Now, a Kickstarter, you also add hundreds and hundreds of hours of other work that has nothing to do with the actual work of making a game.
Answering questions and making updates and engaging the community.
Yeah, and it's frequently worth it. It's not a thing that we're saying, Kickstarter's awful and we never want to use it. No, we obviously do want to use it, but we wanted to not make, if we make every title title that we're going to make go through Kickstarter, it will mean that we will make far fewer titles, and we will be
destitute. Is that what you're looking for?
Tired?
I was going to go with tired.
But like a good example, like thinking about it, and this is a constantly evolving thing. So we change our answers and feelings about this. Like we update them regularly.
We learn.
But right now, like a game like Match Quilt, which
Evolve.
at one point I had like the world high score. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, so a game like Match Quilt, which is really fun, but pretty straightforward. Like it's a cool matching kind of puzzle kind of game like that. That's really fun. And we think that game, having talked especially to distributors and stuff like that, that's real easy for me to, it's like a $20 price point. It's easy for me to explain it and show it to a distributor, to salespeople at the different distributors. It's easy for us to take it to something even like New York Toy Fair and show it to Barnes & Noble and Target, stuff like that.
It goes right in the store.
So it's something where like releasing it, I can easily show it to people. They'll have a good sense of how much they can sell to a store. So we don't need to have a Kickstarter to like bump up the buzz for it. Whereas something that is like weird and elaborate or really expensive, we want to do a Kickstarter. So something like Curators, where the thing that's like, it's a really fun game, but also it's like weird and neat in this weird and neat way. That's something where you can put it on Kickstarter and be like, it's weird and neat in this weird way. Like, and like this is not a Kickstarter you've seen before, and then you can get the kind of Kickstarter community to look at it.
The community and the pre-buzz and the
right.
Through.
Well, and part of it too is that like risky games are really good on Kickstarter because if we put up Curators, and we don't anticipate this happening, but if we put up Curators and nobody backs it, we get like 17 backers and nobody's really interested in it. We're like, oh, okay, all right. We're excited about this game. We maybe need to do some positioning. We need to figure out why this is failing because when it's this like weird risky property, and I'm not saying that Curators particularly is that risky, but like if it were, like I
think like Legends of Sleepy Hollow is a good
example.
That's that game is like we was talking about. It's so involved and big and complicated to make it.
We don't want to make it before like Match Quilt. We can make that if we make Match Quilt and it fails as a product.
Right.
We're not ruined. If we make Legends of Sleepy Hollow, let's say we didn't do a Kickstarter, we made Legends of Sleepy Hollow, we print 10,000 copies of that, and we send them out there, and then nobody buys them. You spent hundreds of hours on it.
We spent tons of money on production and miniatures and everything else, and it would be a nightmare.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
So, anyway, that kind of...
Going along with that, so when let's say you're making your own game and you're not Kickstarting, how do you determine what your ramp is? Like,
so if you are making your own game, if anyone is making a game ever, you need to figure out how you're going to, this is a different topic, if you're making a game, you need to figure out how you're selling that game. And if you have, either way, whether or not you're doing a Kickstarter, before you take a game to production, you should try to have an audience for that game, and you should try to have people already excited about that game. You make your prototype, get it in front of as many people as possible, play that game. And then, if you go to Kickstarter, great, those people are already excited to Kickstarter. If not, you're going to be like trying to get it into stores or trying to sell it at conventions. You need to have an extant audience. Right now, Kickstarter, 400 different game projects go live every month on Kickstarter. So, a similar number of games are entering the marketplace all the time. So there needs to be a reason why someone would look at your game. And I'm not saying there isn't. I'm saying you need to provide that reason.
So when we're doing it internally, like when I'm deciding like print run sizes to order and stuff like that, so I do a little bit of like, if we did a Kickstarter, looking at how many backers there were, a little bit of talking to distributors, a little bit of using the force, a little bit of magic like this, and then poof, and then that's how many we order. And
which is
now
like
I've done it long enough that I'm usually right.
We very rarely have
about Spirit Island.
Yeah. We continue to
but that was a good way to be.
We also, we're wrong in like a very.
We were also wrong about Galactic Strike Force.
Yeah, so Galactic Strike Force and Sentinel Tactics we were wrong about in the bad way.
Yeah.
And Spirit Island we were wrong about in the good way.
Yes.
You used to do pre-order campaigns in between Kickstarter. Do you think you'll go back to the pre-order campaigns?
Campaigns is a strong word. I'm not saying that we didn't do campaigns, but I am going to say like we might do for some of these games that we're going to do with our Kickstarter. We might do pre-orders. We're like, hey, this game is going to come out sometime in the future here, and we're going to do we can do a pre-order for it, but it won't be like a big thing where we're counting the number of people that pre-order it or the number of dollars. We're not going to do a big campaign like this game is available for pre-order because if we're doing a pre-order campaign, we're just doing a Kickstarter.
Yeah. The only thing so usually we will do what we did with the starter kit for Sentinel Comics role-playing game, which is like, hey, you can order it now. Here it is. You can do like a pre-order and then order it and then bam, and it's out there kind of thing. Or you do a little bit of pre-order right before that, but it's like in production already and you can get it.
Right.
The only probably exception to that is what we'll do with Prime War, because with Prime War, it's weird, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a weird history. And so
It has baggage.
we'll need to do a lower key, but pre-order before it goes to production pre-order for that. Because
we don't need to know.
We
how many
need to
copies
know.
to print.
We need to have some to help give me that idea about how many to print. But also because we're going to allow people who pre-ordered Broken City to then get Prime War, but also modify what they get through that during that pre-order time.
Because Broken City to Prime War isn't a 1-to-1 in terms of like the components.
There's
things.
like a strange algorithm, and the
you have to do
post I
some
put online
transmutational-
explains the strange algorithm. So we're going to allow people I want to make sure all of those people are taken care of and can get whatever they want.
Yep.
But in order to let them do that, we need to have before we go to production pre-order for Prime War so that they have an opportunity to do it. So what will happen is we're going to get Prime War done, we're ready to send the files to production, then spend a couple of weeks doing this pre-order thing, and then say go to production.
Rather, we'll send the files to production.
Yeah.
And have them start doing
Do
the pre-press stuff, and then they'll be like, right, and you want how many copies is this? We're like, hold on. What was it?
Oh, please. Yeah.
This many.
Right. Especially because there's a few different options, just to let Broken City pre-orders get whatever they want. There's a few different weird options that I outlined in that post, and so to know how many of each of those weird options we need the factory to specialty make for us, kind of. So basically.
What?
You mentioned Monster Truck Mayhem, and then I got a chance to check out Dubai a year and a half ago. Is there any chance that was actually seen
Right now
from
we have
us?
right now we have no plans to do that at all. But like Chris said, never say never. You never know what happens.
Dubai has gone back to the designers, so they might do something else with Dubai. They probably are going to.
They are. They've got some leads on doing Dubai.
But they would probably be doing Dubai, not in the way that we were going to do.
Right. No. They're
they're stripping it back to the whole setting for it. Anyway, so yeah,
we have some properties that we've had and have not succeeded on Kickstarter with. The Monster of Mayhem being probably the biggest one, really. Matt and Ben have said no, it's fine. They left the files with us. They're not taking it anywhere else. They probably wouldn't really want to do it with anybody else. And so, like we say, never say never.
The realistic scenario for Monster of Mayhem is a good example. So the realistic scenario for that is that we'll go into New York Toy Fair. I'm talking to a Target buyer. And the Target buyer said, you know what really is big right now?
What we want is a real-time dice rolling monster truck game.
Right. Or something,
somebody said those
or
words
something like that. We'd be like, well.
I'm not going to come back.
Right.
Yeah, right.
There's genuine chance. They say stuff all the time like that. Right now what we want for this season is something that does this. Even if they were we just want kind of a lighter, real-time dice rolling thing, you kind of think, oh, well, how about this?
Oh, we got this thing, yeah.
And so, there's things like that happen. And so, you never know, right?
So, and then we've got a couple of things like TC Petty's games. Don't Get Eated is now going to be produced. It's going to be called Revenge of the Mortals from Keymaster Games. Mm-hmm. And then I can't announce what's happened to Club Zen, but there is something at this con that's happened to Club Zen. Yeah. So that will happen as well. So, they found life outside of that, but
life finds a way.
Life finds a way. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Questions?
Yes.
With the Sentinel RPG that you've been working on, do you have plans for PDF to be purchased and stuff?
Oh yeah.
There
already is for the starter kit. You can already get in PDF form and everything. Yeah. And in fact, we're doing a thing where when you buy physical editions, you get the PDFs and things like that.
Yeah, buying the physical edition of any of the RPG products. This will just be true throughout the line. If you buy the physical version of it, you'll get the PDF for free. You can also buy the PDF separately without a physical version, if you want to. I would.
If you don't want to, you still can.
No,
it's possible.
You go into a different universe where it's not.
Oh, it's not
anymore. Or you retroactively never made that possible.
Okay. All right.
The computer gave your desire.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. How many questions
did you have this year? I guess. I know Marla, I believe, and you had a couple new hires.
Oh yeah. Let me go.
Let's go since Gen Con last year. This is gonna be tricky.
Right. So we hired. I can do it. I can totally do it. Okay. So we hired. So we had Gen Con last year at the Havoc. Then in November we hired Maggie as our social media manager.
Yes.
Then in December we hired Alex as our operations liaison. So what he does basically is he's the account manager for other publishers that use us for fulfillment
and warehousing.
So and warehousing. So the Stonemaier games we warehouse and ship and sell into distribution all Stonemaier games. Among some other publishers, and he's the account manager for them, from us, for like them as our customer. Does that make sense? Am I saying words that make sense? Okay. So that's what Alex said. So we hired him in December. Then in May.
Is that the next one?
I think that's true.
Was Sarah not?
Yeah, June for Sarah. So in May we hired Chris Burton, who's Braithwaite on our forums, to be a playtesting manager, head playtester, project manager kind of guy for development, stuff like that. Yeah. Then in June we hired Sarah, who's a graphic designer, and Tawana, who's an operations specialist. So she does a lot of reporting and making people pay us that haven't paid us since 2014.
Yep.
That's real. I didn't.
Yeah, no. She was going back through a bunch of old accounts receivable, and she's like, "These people never paid us a chunk of money." And
the oldest one was like $500 from 2014.
Yeah, and when she contacted them, and they're like, "Do we still owe this?" And she's like, "Yes, you definitely do." And they're like, "Okay, sorry."
Yeah.
She hasn't had to.
Mostly it's just
she's very nice.
Write people emails and be like, according to our records, you owe us $500 from September of 2014, and then email back and be like, sorry.
I'll tell you that.
I mean, that's usually right. So the scenarios. There's a bunch of things that like I didn't have enough time to do because they weren't like super urgent and pressing, and this is one of them. It's like if someone owes us like $10,000, then I will notice and I will go tell them, hey, you owe us $10,000. But if someone owes us $500 or $600 or something like that, maybe like I didn't really I'm busy doing other things that make us more money than that, so like I'll get to it later, and I'll get to it later for years, and then never do. And so then she went back through and just emailed all of those people, like according to our records, you owe us this money. And what happens is like a third of the time they're like, oh sorry, here's the money. Another third of the time they're like, I definitely paid you that 2 years ago, here's the receipt. And I'm like, ooh, I messed that one up. And then like it's my fault. And then the other third of the time something weird is going on, like there was like things showed up at different times and our records and their records don't match for complicated reasons, and then we have to like sort that out. Anyway. So that happened in June, and then Mara left in May, and then Maggie got promoted to marketing manager.
And she's doing a great job.
And then we hired Trevor in July.
And then we're going to hire somebody out of this panel just randomly. We've taken all these tickets, and we're just going to randomly hire somebody here. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, we're not paying you.
No.
Salary.
No, and like actually, we're not even going to tell you. Just one of you at the end of this panel will be hired.
You will have a job.
So
you don't know what the job is,
right?
And you don't get paid for it.
Right.
You still have that open sales position, correct?
So, that's really no, not anymore. Just sort of
because of the way that we did a restructuring of the company. It ended up that like the different roles fell to people in a way that actually that job was covered by between Paul and Tawana and Maggie.
Yeah, and Alex kind of is
and Alex,
So basically now I'm doing just what we call inside sales, which is like calling the different distributors and talking to them and going through their orders.
Which like you didn't have time to do that before because
right.
of all the
like
stuff
I had
that
done
Tawana
it,
is now
and then,
doing.
Exactly, right. So then, but stripped out of all of the other stuff that I was doing is like a bunch of this like monthly and quarterly reporting and various other stuff like that, and spreadsheets and stuff Tawana's doing. A bunch of the like detailed collection about what all the GTG operations and stuff people are doing is Alex is doing, and all of the actual marketing stuff Maggie is doing. So that leaves me down to this core of like maintain a backorder spreadsheet and call people on the phone periodically, which I can do.
I would say actually that Jen, your creative director, is doing a lot with Maggie on the marketing.
Right. Yeah.
That Jen is much more active with that now. And
right.
That's awesome.
And because there's a team there, and that's able to kind of happen. So it's just sort of like a whole reorganization of how that went. So I don't know. So we'll see. So now we're going to just not hire him for a little while and kind of cruise forward and go like that. At some point, like we'll like honestly, something that we'll need eventually is another person who wants to work full time in the warehouse. So and that's going to be an interesting job because what we found, so this summer we have some people that work hourly in the warehouse and do some stuff, and we've hired we've periodically hired various temporary hourly kind of people. We found the actual ideal warehouse employee for Greater Than Games is someone who is very competent and good at things and interested in doing physical labor and is organized, but like just wants to work for Greater Than Games a lot.
Yeah.
Because like it's work that anyone can be taught to do as long as you can like lift 40 pounds, right? And are willing to be on your feet all day.
And like keep track of where things are.
Right. But having any particular experience doing it is not necessary at all, right? And so like one of the best like temporary people in our warehouse has been my sister-in-law, who's a teacher. But she's just really organized and really good at doing things. Like, oh, that's great, good. Like, please, she doesn't want to work in our house. But she's doing it for the summer.
For the Oblivion
she's a
ship
teacher.
out, yeah.
But finding someone like that who like, you have a degree in English or history or something like that, but you really want to work for a game company and you're willing to like move stuff around and work with Matt and Jody and be bros with them, that's who we'll hire eventually. So I mean, when you know anyone who wants to do that, and
maybe it's one of these people we're gonna hire.
Write us an essay.
Raise your hand if you can lift 40 pounds.
Yeah.
No, nobody wants
That's
more
depressing.
Okay.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
You guys need to work that.
We are at Gen Con. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, all right. More questions?
Yeah.
So, I guess between like Oblivion and Spirit Island, obviously there are delays and other things. Like, what have you guys on a whole learned from that experience? Because obviously both of them had major delays, but I guess on most people's end, they don't really know what's going on the backside.
Right. So what we've learned is basically one is that we needed to hire a few more people, especially in the graphic design kind of department, stuff like that. Yep. The other one is that we need to give longer time estimates on projects.
Yeah.
And a third one for Oblivion in particular, there was so many things for that one.
Oblivion, I don't think is a really great example.
Yeah,
because
sure it's late, but not for the amount of material we made for it.
We learned a bunch of things about it, but we also learned some things that can't possibly apply to anything else.
Yeah,
because
Oblivion's such a unique situation.
Nothing is going to blow past stretch goals in the way that did.
And if it does, we know not to add things as much aggressively.
Well, and also nothing is going to be like the Oblivion was the end of.
But
yeah.
Like a storyline, which is hard. We also we won't make we won't do a Kickstarter that features a really elaborate cardboard big dumb box thing until it's completely designed already.
I guess the main thing that we learned is these are all the specific things. The way it boils down to is we're going to be a lot further along with the product before we put it on Kickstarter.
And that's something we've always wanted to do, but
now we have the bandwidth
to
do
a place
it.
where that can actually happen.
Yeah. And then for Spirit Island's another one, a notable one that is really long. But Spirit Island and Sleepy Hollow are both kind of similar in a way where we were a little bit too optimistic about how long the development cycle on a game that complicated would take in both cases. And now we want to be...
It mostly has to do with art, really.
Yeah, this part of it. Yeah. But everything, and even every kind of...
Well, it's just logistics. You try to forecast what logistics are going to be. You think, you just hey, you bake in, there are going to be problems. There are always problems. Yeah. And then when you've gone past your baked in, there's problems, and then you realize, there's more problems. And so we're getting better at estimating what those are and the time it will take us to work with this, especially on these really big, complicated projects.
Right. Yeah. And what's interesting is that sometimes we have Kickstarter projects that are delayed quite a bit. Other times we have Kickstarter projects that are on time, and sometimes we have Kickstarter projects that are early, like Laser Riders and Sentinel Tactics and stuff like this. But no one really cares. If it's early,
if it's on time, okay, cool. If it's early, okay, who cares? If it's late, it seems to be the end of the world, which is weird because the people that are really upset into the world about it also probably backed a bunch of other things, and they're getting games all the time and
I know we empathize a lot. It sucks, and it sucks more for us that it's late a lot, and we really don't ever want things to be late.
Right.
And we're really going to try not to. And one of the things we're going to do is give ourselves a much longer time estimate. On things. If we really wanted to guarantee that nothing was late, I would just say that every Kickstarter will live for 5 years after. Which would be safe, and then we would never be late.
Right.
We'll never say never.
Yeah.
No, I mean, So I was actually talking to.
But trying to get something that's realistic still, but and updating what realistic means for us, and because it's a thing that we suffer from, but estimating how long it will take to do a thing that isn't done is notoriously incredibly difficult, and we're trying to get better at it all the time. But
every project is
really
different,
freaking hard.
Yeah.
And it's not just us. The most classically, Tesla ran a Kickstarter for the Model 3.
It wasn't actually a Kickstarter, but they did a pre-order.
You know what I'm talking about? The Model 3 electric car. They did a pre-order campaign for it. You could pay them $1,000 and reserve your car. It was just a Kickstarter campaign from a public relations standpoint. So then you look in the comments on any article about the Tesla Model 3 for the past 3 years, and you see people complaining about delays the same as people in the Oblivion campaign.
Yep.
It's the same kind of thing, but it's because it's really hard to estimate how long it will take to do a complicated thing you haven't done before.
Yep.
And inherently, Kickstarter always is that.
Right. We're not doing Kickstarter to kickstart games that we've definitely done before. We know exactly how they go.
Yes.
No, we're using it for new and different things.
Right. So we've learned a bunch of stuff.
Yep.
We're going to try really hard not to have delays and to have more realistic estimates about how long things will take. We will definitely have Kickstarter projects in the future that are delayed a lot as well.
Or we set every game, the delivery date is 2050.
Right.
Yeah.
Short of doing that.
Right.
All right, other questions?
Alrighty.
All right.
Thank you all so much for coming. Thank you for helping out with being a part of Greater Than Games. And we'll see you all soon.
Yeah.